At any rate, when we go back to this physical world, you divide the debt by all the gold, and that gives you a number which is about $38,000 in change. And gold is the primary currency metal. Silver is the secondary currency metal. That puts, and at a 20-to-1 ratio, which long before 1913, it was a 15-to-1 ratio, but when we went into the new system, it was a 20-to-1 ratio. In fact, this is a little 20th of an ounce of gold, a $1 gold coin to a $1 silver coin. So that puts that fundamental value at about $1,800. So at $5,000 or $5,400 or $20,000 or $30,000, it's a bargain. What we're really experiencing right now at the end of this currency's life cycle is the really death of Wall Street's price discovery mechanism, which is a trading mechanism.
In today's breakdown, veteran sound money analyst Lynette Zang lays out a framework that completely reframes how viewers should think about gold, silver, and the end stage of the current currency system. She explains that when global debt is mathematically reconciled against physical gold, the implied price of gold rises toward the $38,000 range, not as speculation but as a function of restoring a physical monetary system. Gold, she notes, has always been the primary monetary metal, while silver functions as the secondary currency metal, using a historical 20-to-1 gold-to-silver ratio rooted in pre-1913 monetary history. This framework places silver's fundamental value near $1,800 per ounce. From that perspective, silver remains deeply undervalued whether gold trades at $5,000, $20,000, or higher. The key warning is not just about price targets, but about structure. What we are witnessing is the breakdown of Wall Street's price discovery mechanism, as paper trading loses relevance in a physical world. As confidence erodes and the currency life cycle nears its end, real value begins to reassert itself. If you found this helpful, like, share, and subscribe to The Metal Bar. Turn on the bell so you don't miss any updates. And comment below to share your thoughts on it. Appreciate you for tuning in. Now listen to the interview.
That the central banks and the governments are losing control. Because why, with their ability to just create as much digital silver and gold that never will exist, why aren't we still looking at spot gold at $200 an ounce and spot silver at $1 or $5, right? It's easy to manipulate these markets. So that's really, that's what's happening. And that's how much it's truly worth. Now, that's on a one-to-one basis, but people should keep in mind that when all confidence is lost, the way that governments attempt to regain your confidence and at least make it appear that hyperinflation is calming down is by revaluing this garbage that has no intrinsic value and is only used in one place, the financial system. And they revalue it against this, which is all intrinsic value and used in at least 33 different areas. It is not gold and silver appreciating. It is the value of the currency going away. And this is really only held together with public confidence. So that's number one. Number two, how in the world do you know whether or not you should buy, hold, or liquidate any asset if you do not know its true fundamental value, not intrinsic value, which is Wall Street wants you to believe that they're giving you good price discovery. That's just a lie, and it's simply not true. You need to be able to, I don't care what it is, you need to be able to understand its true fundamental value. And therefore, do I want to buy it? Do I want to hold it? Do I want to liquidate it? So how do you know what that is? Well, it takes a teeny weeny bit of nuance, and you can do this for any asset at all. Remember the Federal Reserve purchasing power chart, and they said the fundamental value of $1 is 0, which means anything that can only be converted into that fiat money into that government debt-based money, that's the real trend, right? Not them going up in terms of zeros, because that's what people look at psychologically. It's manipulation. It really is. What can you convert it into? I have a $10 trillion Zimbabwe note right here. You do know what I can buy with this. Absolutely nothing, right? But I'm a trillionaire in Zimbabwe. So I think it's critically important. How is money created? Everybody smiles when I pull out my money gun, but money in this system is created from debt. And since most countries, including the US, stopped publishing its M3 back in 2006, I take all the debt and I use that as a proxy for all the fiat money that's been printed. And I do it globally because this is a global issue. So according to the IFF, that the most current number that I pulled was $313 trillion in bonds. That means that's how much of this crap was created. And then there's a finite amount of gold because it's physical. Now, digital gold, like spot contracts, there's an unlimited amount. But when you go into the physical world, there is a finite amount of it. And you simply divide all the debt by all the gold, and then that tells you what this is really worth, because its most important function, it performs a lot of functions, but its most important function is to hold its value intact over time. And that is exactly the function that it's performed before, and why you see both spot silver and spot gold moving the way that it is because we are inside of a structural shift since we're at the end of this currency's life cycle. And that structural shift is away from the U.S. paper markets, those contracts of which, well, according to the Bank of International Settlements, before they changed the formulas, for every 1 ounce of physical gold that existed, there had been 62,000 ounces of derivative gold. And that was 2009. So how much there is now? I don't know.
In this powerful segment, the conversation dives straight into why governments and central banks are quietly losing control of the monetary system. Despite their ability to create unlimited digital gold and silver through paper contracts, prices are no longer behaving the way manipulated markets should. If control were absolute, gold would still be trading near $200 and silver at just a few dollars. The fact that this is no longer the case signals a deeper structural shift. The key takeaway is simple but uncomfortable. It is not gold and silver rising in value. It is fiat currency collapsing. Confidence is the only thing holding the system together, and once that confidence fades, governments historically attempt to restore order by revaluing currency against real assets with intrinsic value. Gold and silver are not financial products. They are monetary metals used across dozens of industries, unlike fiat money, which exists only inside the financial system. Understanding true fundamental value becomes critical. Without it, investors cannot rationally decide whether to buy, hold, or liquidate any asset. When global debt, now exceeding $300 trillion, is measured against a finite physical gold supply, the distortion in paper pricing becomes impossible to ignore. This explains why spot prices are moving the way they are today. We are witnessing a transition away from U.S. paper markets and toward physical reality as the current currency life cycle reaches its end. Now let's get into the interview.
I think the most clear picture that I can show you comes actually from the Federal Reserve itself, because that's really almost pretty much the only country that I've come across that actually publishes the purchasing power of the consumer dollar here in the U.S. And if you look at that chart, there are two things that are very evident as soon as you look at it. And anybody has access to it. I don't have any special access. And that is, number one, that it starts out a dollar's worth of purchasing power up here, and down at that bottom axis, axle is a big fat zero. So the Federal Reserve itself is actually telling you that this stuff has no value. Taking that same chart, it is quite easy to see that officially there's 3 cents left out of the original purchasing power of the dollar. So I could tell the whole story. I mean, I love my charts and graphs because I like to do things visibly as well as verbally. But if you said you can only ever use one chart, that would be the one that I use because I could tell the entire story of the currency's life cycle from that one chart. But that's it. So what happens when you get to zero? Gold and silver are your bridge from the one to the other to hold your purchasing power intact and then have the ability to take advantage. Number one, sustain your current standard of living, which is critically important, but then to protect whatever fiat money wealth you've managed to accumulate, because the real trend in that stuff is what's happening in the dollar, and the dollar is very near zero, if not really there. The only reason why we don't know that yet is because the public still has some confidence. But along the way, all of that leverage and debt that's in the system that bid up a lot of these assets, real estate, income producing assets, even the cryptos. I'm not saying they're going away. They're not going away. They're here. Wall Street has adopted it, and certainly governments and central banks and corporations are adopting it in a very big way. It's not going away.
This final segment ties everything together by pointing straight to the data most people overlook. Even the Federal Reserve's own purchasing power chart quietly admits what many refuse to accept. The consumer dollar has been hollowed out over time. When a currency trends towards zero, the question is no longer if change comes, but how people preserve what they've already earned. This is where the conversation shifts from theory to survival. Gold and silver are not speculative trades in this context. They are bridges. Bridges between a failing monetary system and whatever replaces it next. Their role is simple but critical. Maintain purchasing power, protect accumulated fiat wealth, and give people optionality when confidence finally breaks. What's important to understand is that this transition doesn't mean everything else disappears. Real estate, income-producing assets, and even digital assets are not being erased. They are being repriced as leverage, debt, and distorted valuation models unwind. Wall Street adoption doesn't mean safety. It means exposure to the same systemic risks that have driven the dollar to this point. This is a structural reset, not a headline event. The people who prepare early focus less on price and more on function, fundamentals, and historical patterns. That's how you stay ahead of the curve instead of reacting to it. If you found this helpful, like, share, and subscribe to The Metal Bar. Turn on the bell so you don't miss any updates, and comment below to share your thoughts on it. Appreciate you for tuning in.